Hello, this is the Fix Virus Reboot Show, number one. Took a little hiatus. First, we start with the bumper music, which is monastery chanting with a little bit of starting the day off, kind of. So I wanted to take a little time off because I wanted to make sure I'm doing like the right things or the things that I wanted to do in this podcast. So I found this issue that I blogged about this week. Patching and upgrading is good, right? Hackers take advantage of the updates. Well, I'm combining a couple of different things here, which is what I wanted to explain on this podcast. So, Ars Technica had a story about vulnerabilities that are being taken advantage of by the hackers. And they call it the Bring Your Own Vulnerable Driver, BYOVD. And apparently Microsoft did not do what it was supposed to do. We'll get to that. So, first of all, what is a driver? A driver is software that connects the kernel, the operating system, with some hardware that is being used. So maybe you're using the sound card, the network card, whatever hardware you have needs some kind of a driver that connects to the kernel. So unfortunately, these drivers, Bring Your Own Vulnerable Driver, BYOVD, means that the hackers are using a mechanism of updates to install an old vulnerable driver. So what does that actually mean? Well, so let's say you have a video card, and 2 years ago, this video card had a vulnerability. You patched it. You're a concerned computer user, and you updated your video driver. So this video driver, hardware driver, could be anything, but let's say it's a video driver. So let's say this video driver had a vulnerability 2 years ago. You patched it, so everything should be good, right? Well, there's this anomaly is an interesting anomaly. We have to actually go to something that I found out today. I'm trying to find something that will make it easy to understand. Although Microsoft claimed that it solved the problem with a driver block list being regularly updated. So they had a list which meant that all of the following drivers are bad, vulnerable drivers, and they should not be installed because you fixed them already. Someone shouldn't be able to install an old driver that is vulnerable. So one of the things that Microsoft does is it has a digital signature. So the thing is it was a valid driver a while ago. So these days, it's not because it's vulnerable. But back when it was first installed, it was a valid driver, so it's not like an invalid driver. So invalid drivers do not get installed. Microsoft will deny that. So they were this is kind of like a gray area. This means that all vulnerable drivers that were discovered in the past 2 to 3 years could be used by attackers to get access to the OS. Because these 2 or 3-year-old drivers that are vulnerable can be installed by the hackers because this block list was not being updated as it should have been updated. So we're not sure when Microsoft will actually fix this problem. They supposedly will fix the problem in one of the automatic updates. Remember, Microsoft has Patch Tuesday, which is the second Tuesday of the month. So one of these Patch Tuesdays, it will update this issue in one of its softwares, maybe to do it with a kernel, and it will then fix the problem. So that's what I was trying to explain. It is kind of a difficult issue. I mean, how do you actually explain that in a headline? So I tried to just say, it's the hackers are taking advantage of updates, which is true. They're not updating the latest stuff. They're updating an old one. So it is a little tricky. So I didn't really want to write all that stuff on the headline. I mean, it requires for you to do some research. So, and then, of course, I'm discussing the generality of attack versus defense in cybersecurity. And here's the hacker, and here's the Microsoft IT team, the IT team in your location. So what are the differences between this? So as you can see, they find a way to get into your system, then they have to place it there, of course, and usually that's done with social engineering, with spear phishing. So this is what I'm talking about. It's like the breach is this vulnerability. It's one part of their tactics. So then they have other methods like pivot and retain access to stay in your systems. So anyways, I included this graph on my blog post. So I just wanted to go over this issue because it's a little bit complicated. And I also wanted to discuss the thing is I'm going to try to be a little more regular. At least every 2 weeks, I'm going to try to create a podcast of something relevant that may be a little bit more complicated than just a blog post can explain, where you can just read a little bit and understand something about the complex world of cybersecurity. And I think if you have any questions, feel free to mail me or leave a comment. So of course, one of the things you should do, you should get my book, Too Late You're Hacked, which will help you create a security policy and create a culture of security. So that way you can at least start thinking about these things on a regular basis. So thank you for listening. And we're going to have the Simono Petra monks head us out. Onas tone onon. Thank you very much. We will talk to you later next time.